Hi, my name is Sarah Ratliff. So for my essay, my topic is sports. I compared and contrasted robotics with soccer. My main points of comparison here are the atmosphere of the competition, the diversity of the competitors, and also how each team is able to compete against one another. I used the point-by-point method because these two topics are so different that it's a little bit easier to see how they compare to each other. So the first point here is atmosphere of the competition. The only real similarity between these two sports is that each team wants to do their best, and obviously that means to beat the other team out just to win the competition. But in robotics, there is a more individual aspect where each team is independently judged based on their design, their research, and teamwork. So that kind of encourages teams to be nicer to each other because you're not really directly competing with them and you're just trying to do the best that you can do. Whereas in soccer, everything is competitive. Teams have rivalries, they're constantly analyzing each other to see how they can dominate on the other's weaknesses, and it's just there's a bigger edge to it because everybody's constantly trying to one-up each other. So the next difference between these two sports is the diversity of the competitions. In robotics, you go straight from your state championship to the world championship, whereas in soccer, the highest level is the national championship. The difference here is that robotics is a much lesser known sport. It's much smaller, it's not as well known worldwide, whereas soccer is obviously a very well known sport and there's a lot of competitions just throughout the United States. So for robotics, I saw plenty of teams from all over the world. I saw teams from Germany, Spain, Japan, Puerto Rico, and all over the United States. But in soccer, even though it was a national competition, most of the teams that I saw were just from the East Coast and mostly Florida. Because robotics is a worldwide competition, there's a lot of different ideas and strategies that they implemented because there's such a broad topic. But in soccer, it's just one game, and that game is played the same no matter where you go. And even though it changes depending on who you are playing at the moment, everybody's playing the same game no matter what. So my last point of comparison here is how the teams are able to compete against one another. For soccer, each bracket is first decided by gender and then broken up by age by year. So for my team, I was on a team comprised only of girls above my age, and that's all we competed against. And something that I noticed going around is that the teams played differently based on gender. Boys tended to play a lot more focused on strength, and they used force rather than strategy, which is what girls did, and they played a lot smarter and thought about how they were going to play the game. In robotics, on the other hand, everyone is grouped together. Ages 9 through 16 are on a team, and you compete against everybody. Boys and girls are also grouped together, and there's no real difference intellectually there. Something that I think is cool about robotics is that the younger teammates generally come up with more innovative strategies, whereas the older competitors think of strategical and logical implications. So obviously, while these two sports are different, they do have a common goal of each team wants to do their best, they want to win the competition, but it just plays out a bit differently because the sports are intellectual versus physical, and there's a difference in how well these sports are known throughout the world.